The Broncos will soon have a new owner for the first time in nearly 40 years. The NFL is expected to approve the sale of the team momentarily. Plus, Aurora is overhauling its police department.
You know, our police department is in turmoil.
The changes already in place as the public gets a chance to see the progress.
Human nature is our biggest barrier, I believe, in trying to manage water in the West.
And a water war is brewing between Colorado and Nebraska. Happening now, you're looking live at Empower Field, home of the Denver Broncos, a team that's officially about to have a new owner. The NFL owners are meeting right now in Minneapolis to vote on the deal which would officially transfer ownership to the Walton Penner Group. Our Broncos insider Troy Rank is at that meeting in Minnesota. He joins us live. Troy, walk us through the steps of today's meeting. Once the ownership is official, what happens next?
Yeah, here's what's happened this morning. Rob Walton and Greg and Carrie Penner are in a room not far from where I'm at here at the JW Marriott at the airport. They will ultimately make a presentation in a few minutes to the ownership group, or maybe just speak to them. They will step out of the room. There will be a vote, Jason. We expect that to be 32-0, a unanimous vote, obviously. And then they will be approved, and they will come in and do a press conference. That will be our first chance in the Denver media to speak with Rob Walton and Greg and Carrie Penner. There's likely there will be a press conference in Denver tomorrow that will include Melody Hobson and Condoleezza Rice. But the process is in place. The $4.65 billion purchase of the Broncos is really just minutes away from approval.
Really expected to happen, as you mentioned, but it's still a very big deal for this franchise, the first new owner in almost 40 years.
Yeah, listen, Pat Bowlen is a Hall of Famer for a reason. His legacy is safe. He's in Canton, Ohio. This is the first membership and new ownership in 38 years, but there's a legacy to follow here. Now, the last few years have been dark, no playoffs in 6 years, 5 straight losing seasons, Jason, but the Walton family, they made it very clear they wanted this team. It didn't feel like any bid was ever going to beat them. They wanted to own the Denver Broncos. So what happens next then? Will they decide they want a new stadium? They toured the facility yesterday. They were in Denver. There will be a lot of those questions asked more likely tomorrow, but will they want a new stadium? Will they want one by the airport, downtown? And will they start immediately with Russell Wilson contract negotiations? So a lot on the table, but first they have to become the new owners, and that is, again, minutes away here in Minneapolis.
Expected momentarily. Troy's got to run for that vote. Our Broncos insider Troy Rank. Troy, thank you so much. A new era in Denver Broncos football expected again just within the next few moments. We will update you from those NFL ownership meetings in Minneapolis as soon as that deal becomes official. So let's kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown of this deal. It is expected, as Troy mentioned, to be worth more than $4.5 billion, which is a new record for a sports franchise. Rob Walton, his daughter, Carrie Walton Penner, and her husband, Greg Penner, will take control of the franchise. Now, again, we are expected to hear from them today after that NFL owners meeting. After that vote becomes official, then that new group will hold a news conference here in Denver. That is expected tomorrow. Now, as the ownership situation plays itself out in Minnesota, the Broncos are also back at training camp this morning down in Dove Valley. They have 3 more practices left before camp ends and the preseason starts. There were some nice plays from Russell Wilson yesterday, throwing to Javonte Williams in the end zone. He connected with a pretty nice jumping deep ball, as you see there, to Cortland Sutton to end practice. Broncos offensive coordinator Justin Oten says the offense here really starting to hit its stride.
It's important for us to rotate and put guys in different spots, and that's the great thing about this system is there's a lot of formations that these guys need to know, whether they're a tight end or a receiver or a back. Just knowing every position on the field, that way we can put people in places to take advantage of the defense.
Now, the Broncos' first preseason game is Saturday night at home against the Dallas Cowboys. Coach Nate Hackett has not said yet if his starters will play. Of course, we'll have updates from today's NFL ownership meetings as well as training camp throughout the day. You can find our Broncos coverage right now up on thedenverchannel.com. Well, we have some new at 11, new information to share with you traffic-wise. All lanes of northbound I-25 near the Bellevue exit are back open hours after a fuel spill on the interstate. This is what the scene looked like earlier on this morning. Greenville Village police say a box truck crashed just south of the off-ramp, spilling a little bit less than 100 gallons of diesel. That driver wasn't hurt, but it caused quite the traffic issue this morning. The contractor working on the Central 70 project, meanwhile, says an error in the drainage pump system prevented the pumps from turning on automatically during Sunday night's flooding. And that flooding caused several drivers to get stranded and 11 people had to be rescued. The contractor says it turned on the pumps manually. And then once that happened, the area was drained in a, quote, short amount of time. CDOT says they are investigating why the system automatically didn't turn on. We'll get an update today on Aurora's efforts to rebuild trust in its police and fire departments. The company overseeing their improvement will discuss a recent progress report. As Denver 7's Christian Lopez reports, there are some changes already in the works.
That first report came back just a week ago. Today, the community will have the opportunity to attend a public meeting where they can learn more about these findings and ask any questions. The overall goal here is for the police and fire departments to continue making progress and gain the community's trust. After Colorado's Attorney General found the Aurora Police Department engaged in racially biased policing in September of 2021, the city agreed to a consent decree, which is a plan to improve policing and public safety practices. A monitor is helping police and fire make some big changes to use of force policies, training, bias, and other issues. The first report says police officers and firefighters have been cooperative and interested in implementing these changes, but the Aurora Police Department has to improve trainings, and the Use of Force Review Board has to improve investigative practices. So there is still a lot of work ahead, but a member of the Community Advisory Council believes that change is already happening.
What I'm hearing in community, and what I've even experienced myself with people reaching out to me as a member of the Advisory Council, is that people are saying, when I file a complaint against the Aurora Police Department, it's being taken seriously. Officers are being removed.
One of the incidents that prompted these changes was the death of Elijah McClain in 2019. The 5 officers and paramedics charged in that case will be appearing in court on Friday. That meeting tonight will take place at 6:30 at the Beck Recreation Center. Reporting this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Police departments across the U.S., including in Colorado, are facing severe staffing shortages. Axios reports things like low pay, people quitting because of COVID-19, and excessive force cases that gain national attention are some of the reasons departments are seeing those shortages. A survey from the Police Executive Research Forum from 2021 found a 45% increase in retirements and an 18% increase in resignations compared to the previous year. Some agencies are moving staff to different departments that now need more support. Others, including Aurora, are offering bonuses and increasing pay. The Bureau of Justice Statistics says new officers typically go through around 8 months of training before they can patrol on their own, meaning filling vacant positions could take years. President Joe Biden just signed a $280 billion bipartisan bill into law aimed at boosting high-tech manufacturing. The CHIPS Act increases computer chip manufacturing and will decrease the country's dependence on overseas supply chains.
Today is a day for builders. Today, America is delivering. And I honest to God believe that 50, 75, 100 years from now, people who will look back on this week, they'll know that we met this moment.
Now, the law will also invest in new research and development for the semiconductor industry. President Biden and the White House had no prior knowledge of the FBI raiding former President Donald Trump's home in Florida, according to the Biden administration. Dozens of agents executed a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. As Faith Abube reports, the FBI believes the former president mishandled classified documents.
An extraordinary and unprecedented scene at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. FBI agents Monday executing a court-authorized warrant at the former president's private residence. Trump and his family were not at the home during the raid. His son, Eric Trump, on Fox News.
30 FBI agents, actually more than that, descend on Mar-a-Lago, give absolutely, no notice, go through the gate, start ransacking an office.
Trump himself seen in New York ignoring shouted questions, but confirming the raid in a statement saying his property was under siege and that the agents even broke into his safe. Sources tell ABC News the raid is part of the investigation into allegations Trump improperly removed presidential documents, including classified material from the White House when he left office, a possible violation of federal laws. The National Archives referred the case to the Justice Department after retrieving 15 boxes of material from the Mar-a-Lago residence in January, some of the documents allegedly torn up. Trump and his top Republican allies furious about the FBI raid, without evidence, accusing the DOJ of being weaponized, even though Trump appointed the current FBI director.
That is to try to politically harm and intimidate their political opponents. That's what this is all about.
Legal experts say before receiving approval for the search warrant, FBI agents would have had to prove to a federal judge there is probable cause a crime or crimes had been committed and that evidence was in the home.
To send this kind of FBI team to the former president's home, there has to be something more than just a Presidential Records Act violation. They have to know something that we don't know about yet.
And both the FBI and DOJ have declined to comment, and now Trump allies are calling for an investigation into the DOJ and FBI. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
We will update you on that story as well throughout the day. Well, it's time to celebrate South Park. Coming up, the events happening this week marking the show's 25th anniversary. Plus, Colorado is caught up in a tug-of-war with Nebraska over using water from the South Platte River.